Hare Krishna. Welcome to all devotees. Now start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti hi bhavati naistiki. Hare Krishna Dandat Pranam. Today we start new chapter. Srimad Bhagwatam, Canto 11, chapter 25, the three modes and beyond. Shloka number 1 to 12. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Gunanam Asamishranam Uman Ena Yatha Bhavet Tatme Purushavarya Idam Upadharaya Shansata Shamaha Damaha Titiksha Iksha Tapah Satyam Daya Smriti Tushtihi Tyaga Spruha Shraddha Hrihi Daya Adi Swanivritti काम इहा मद तृष्णा स्तंभ आशीभिदा सुखम मद उत्साह यश प्रीति हास्यम वीर्यम बल उद्यम क्रोध लोभ अनृतम हिंसा यांचा तंभ क्लम कली शोक मोह विषाद आरती निद्रा आशा भीर अनुदयम अनुद्यमः सत्वस्य रजसः च एताः तमसः च अणुपूर्वशः वृत्तय वर्णितप्रायाः सन्निपातम् अथो शृणु सन्निपाततु अहम् इति मम इति उद्धवयामतिः व्यवहार सन्निपातः मनः मात्र इन्द्रिया असुभिः धर्मे च अर्थे च कामे च यदा असौ परिनिष्ठितः गुणानां सन्निकर्ष अयं श्रद्धाः अतिधन आवह प्रवृत्ति लक्षणे निष्ठा पुमान् यर्हि गृह आश्रमे स्वधर्मे च अनुतिष्ठेत गुणानां समितिः सा पुरुषं सत्व संयुक्तम अनुमीया अनुम इच्छयाम आदिभिः कामादिभिः रजयुक्त क्रोध आदै तमसायुतम यदा भजति मां भक्त्या निरपेक्ष स्वकर्मभिः तम सत्व प्रकृतिं विद्यात् पुरुषं श्रियम् एव वा यदा आशिष आशास्य मां भजेत स्वकर्मभिः तं रजः प्रकृतिं विद्यात् हिंसाम् आशास्य तामसं सत्वरजः तम इति गुणा जीवस्य न एव मे चित्तजायैतु भूतानां सज्जमाना निबध्यते. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O best among men, please listen as I describe to you how the living entity attains a particular nature by association with individual material modes, mind and sense control, tolerant discrimination, sticking to one's prescribed duty, truthfulness, mercy, careful study of the past and future, satisfaction in any condition, generosity, renunciation of sense gratification, faith in the spiritual master, being embraced at improper action, charity, simplicity, humbleness, and satisfaction with oneself are qualities of the mode of goodness. Material desire, great endure, audacity, dissatisfaction, even in gain, false pride, praying for material advancement, considering oneself different and better than others, sense gratification, rash eagerness to fight, a fondness for self-praise, the tendency to ridicule others, advertising one's own prowess, and justifying one's actions by one's strength or qualities of the mode of passion. Intolerant anger, stinginess, speaking without scriptural authority, violent hatred, living as a parasite, hypocrisy, chronic fatigue, quarrel, lamentation, delusion, unhappiness, depression, sleeping too much, false expectation, fear and laziness constitute the major qualities of the mode of ignorance. Now, please hear about the combination of these three modes. My dear Uddhava, the combination of all three modes is present in the mentality of I and mine. The ordinary transactions of this world, which are carried out through the agency of the mind, the objects of perception, the senses and the vital airs of the physical body are also based on the combination of the modes. When a person devotes himself to religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification, the faith, wealth, and sensual enjoyment obtained by his endeavor display the interaction of the three modes of nature. When a man desires sense gratification, being attached to family life, and when he consequently becomes established in religious and occupational duties, the combination of the mode of nature is manifest. A person exhibiting qualities such as self-control is understood to be predominantly in the mode of goodness. Similarly, a passionate person is recognized by his lust, and one in ignorance is recognized by qualities such as anger. Any person, whether man or woman, who worship me with loving devotion, offering his or her prescribed duties unto me without material attachment, is understood to be situated in goodness. When a person worship me by his prescribed duties with the hope of gaining material benefit, his nature should be understood to be in passion. And one who worship me with the desire to commit violence against others is in ignorance. The three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, influence the living entity, but not me. But manifesting within his mind, they induce the living entity to become attached to material bodies and other created objects. In this way, the living entity is bound up. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word asamishra indicates that which is not mixed with anything else. Lord Krishna now explains how each of these three material modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, acting separately, causes a conditioned soul to manifest a particular type of existence. The living entity is ultimately transcendental to the modes of nature, being part and parcel of Lord Krishna. But in conditioned life, he manifests material qualities. This is described in the following verses. The illusory concept of I and mine occurs by the mixture of three modes of nature. A person in goodness may feel I am peaceful. One in passion may think I am lusty, and in ignorance may think I am angry. Similarly, one may think my peace, my lust, or my anger. One completely absorbed in the mentality of being peaceful could not work in the material world. He would lack any impulse to perform activity. Similarly, one absorbed in lust would be blinded without at least a tinge of peacefulness or restraint. One overwhelmed with anger could not function properly in the material world without the mixture of other qualities. Thus, we find that material mode does not occur in a pure isolated form, but rather is mixed with other modes, thereby making possible normal functioning within this world. Ultimately, one should think, I am an eternal servant of Lord Krishna, and my only possession is loving service to the Lord. This is the pure state of consciousness beyond the material modes of nature. Religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification are situated within the modes of nature, and the faith, wealth, and enjoyment obtained by them clearly reveal the particular situation of a person within the modes of nature. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, religious duties performed for promotion to heaven are understood to be in the mode of passion. Those performed to enjoy ordinary family life are in the mode of ignorance, and those performed selflessly to fulfill one's occupational duty in the varnashram system are in the mode of goodness. The Lord has thus explained how mundane religiosity is manifest within the modes of nature. The living entity is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, having the tendency to be overwhelmed by Lord's illusory material energy. The personality of Godhead, however, is the absolute controller of illusion. Illusion can never control the Lord. This is the Supreme Lord. Sri Krishna is the eternal objects of service for all living beings who are eternally servants of the Lord. The three modes of nature manifest within the material energy. When a conditioned soul adopts a material mentality, the modes exert their influence within the jurisdiction of that mentality. But if one purifies one's mind in the devotional service of the Lord, the modes of nature can no longer act upon him, since they have no influence on the spiritual platform. Thus end the purpose. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Am Sri Guroho Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं च नमो ओम विष्णु पादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभे च कृपा सिन्धुभे एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम। Now today we try to understand Srimad Bhagwatam Canto 11 new chapter 25, the three modes and beyond. We know according to names, modes mean qualities, three modes of nature, describing about the qualities of the modes, more passionate, goodness, and ignorance. What are these three modes, and what are their qualities, and how one can absorb in any one mode, and how mixing what influence upon the bhaktas who cannot take the shelter of the Lord and who take the shelter of the Lord, what happened upon him. All these are discussed in these shlokas nicely. Prabhuji will tell you in detail. Hare Krishna Dandot Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhecha kripa sindhubhe evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mataji, for a wonderful session. So, we saw Krishna explaining to Uddhava that this universe of material action and reaction is constituted under the control of time and the three modes of material nature. And whatever exists in this universe is a product of the combination of material nature and Krishna. So, these three modes of material nature is something which was very importantly highlighted by Krishna. And he says that depending upon what is the mixture of this mode of nature with the constituents determines what is the product which is coming out. So after he had told this, he has also said that a perfect seer will be able to understand this and remove all his doubts. But the question came, now it is important to establish the transcendental nature of Lord. So this particular chapter that we are talking about is now going to be discussing about the functional manifestations of the three modes which arise in the mind. What are the three modes? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. Control of the mind, control of the senses, tolerance, and so forth are manifestations of unmixed mode of goodness. While desire, endeavor, false pride are manifestations of the mode of passion. Anger, greed, bewilderment are the functions of the mode of ignorance. And the mixture of these three modes gives rise to the concept of I, my, mine, according to the mentality of the body, mind, and words. And also the what else aspects of adherence to principles of religiosity or Viksit Bharat, economic development, self gratification, pursuit of one's occupational duty, for material interest, definitely. So that is a result of the admixture. So Krishna, in view of all this, is now describing to us how we attain a particular nature by association with material modes. So he has started off by explaining how everything in goodness is important. So he cites those criteria. And he also cites how passion is also something which comes up. But what we are most worried about is ignorance, where you have intolerant anger, stinginess, speaking without scriptural authorities, violence, hatred, living as parasite, hypocrisy, chronic fatigue, always tired, quarrel, lamentation, delusion, unhappiness, depression, somnolence, that they're sleeping too much, false expectations, fear, laziness. Now, as I was reading, most of you would have related to, Arey, this is with me also. ये तो मुझ में भी है. And that is why it is said that in Kali Yuga, most of the people are always in the mode of ignorance. And so it becomes very important to understand this, because unless we get out of the mode of ignorance above, we cannot get to do anything. So knowing these symptoms was important. And after knowing the symptoms, what became important to understand was, as Krishna mentioned, why today we always see people talking about I, me, mine. The result is because of the combination. The ordinary transactions which are carried out through mind, the objects of perception, the senses, They are based on the combination of the modes of nature. And that is where the difference arises. What ideally should have been a sammishra. That is, the mode should not have got mixed with anything. We should have been in Satogun, not Satogun, but Shuddha Satogun, pure mode of goodness. But unfortunately, we are not able to achieve it. And that is why we always talk about ourselves. Ideally, we should be thinking, I am an eternal servant of Lord Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Haya Krishna Dasaha. So my only possession is loving service to the Lord. That is the pure state of consciousness beyond the modes of nature. Whatever religiosity, economic development, sense gratification we talk about, and now especially in this election period, it's all within the modes of nature. Faith, wealth, enjoyment, they're all as per the modes of nature. Sridhar Swamiji says that religious duties performed for promotion to heaven are to be understood in mode of passion. Those performed to enjoy ordinary family life are in mode of ignorance. And those performed selflessly to do our own occupational duty in the Varnashrama system are in the mode of goodness. So even your mundane religiosity comes with different modes of activities. It is always best to be limited to occupational duties. And what is also important is to have self-control. Because Krishna says that a person exhibiting qualities such as self-control is understood to be predominantly in the mode of goodness. While lust is something which will show passion, and your anger will show something called as tamo. What ideally has to be done is we have to worship Krishna with loving devotion, offering our prescribed duties unto Krishna without any material attachments. And the moment we worship Krishna by our prescribed duties, if unfortunately we are having a hope of gaining material benefit, then it is in passion. And if you are hoping that it should give you the strength to commit violence against others, then it is ignorance. The three modes of nature, they influence us, but not Krishna. They manifest within the mind and they induce us to become attached to material bodies. And thus, we are always bound up. And that is why we are Baddha. But what we have to become is Mukta. We are the marginal potential of Lord. And so we are always overwhelmed by Lord's illusory material energy. However, that is under control of Lord. So Lord says, you surrender unto me, I will take care of this illusion. Because I am the eternal object of service and you are the eternal servant. So let us understand this concept very easily, very silently. Because if we adopt a material mentality, the trigunas will exert their influence. But if we purify our mind in devotional service, the modes of nature can no longer act upon us because they have no influence on the spiritual platform. So if you are desiring to get out of this material cycle of birth, old age, disease, death, then it is very important that we start purifying our mind. And how is that purification going to happen? How is the Cheto Darpan Marjanam going to happen? By loudly chanting of the Lord's glorious name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when we take to this purificatory process, the mantra meditation automatically the changes happen. All the dirt which has been accumulated over so many lifespans, and including now, it gets slowly washed off, and that purification starts. And once the heart is purified, the Lord Himself will reveal Him to us. And based on His mercy, based on the mercy of the devotees, based on the mercy of Guru, we will become eligible and suitable to go back home, back to God. Hence, it is important that we should take up to the congregational chanting very seriously. We should be making our chanting sessions more known to everyone so that only more people can join us every day at 7 a.m. in the morning and 8:28 p.m. in the evening. That is our constitutional responsibility towards Lord Krishna, which we need to fulfill at any cost. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining the session today.